All right, let's dive into this, shall we? AI is on everyone's mind, and today we're focusing on the EU and their big push to become a major player. We've got our hands on Google's EU AI opportunity agenda,
Yeah,
and let me tell you, this thing is dense.
that's a bit of a beast, isn't it?
It's a lot.
Man.
It's important stuff. We're talking about the EU's roadmap to becoming, as they put it, a prime location for AI development.
Right.
But, and they're very upfront about this, there are some hurdles to clear.
Yeah, they don't sugarcoat the challenges. It's quite refreshing, actually.
Right. So that's our mission for this deep dive, really break down the key takeaways. What does the EU see as the big AI opportunities, and what do they need to do to grab them? What's in it for our listeners? That kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that struck me is just how optimistic they are about Europe's potential in this whole AI landscape. They really emphasize their strengths.
Yeah, and they've got a good point, right? I mean, you look at Europe, they've got this incredibly skilled workforce,
Absolutely.
world-class research institutions, and they're already industry leaders in key sectors like automotive, pharmaceutical.
Yeah, they've got a solid foundation to build on, that's for sure.
Right, so it's not just wishful thinking, but it gets even more interesting when you look at the potential economic impact. The report, it actually cites a study by Implement Consulting, and they suggest that generative AI alone
Okay.
could add a massive 1.2 trillion
Wow.
to the European economy.
That's not small potatoes.
No, that's a game changer. So you can see why they're so motivated.
Absolutely. But here's the thing, and they acknowledge this. They are playing a bit of catch-up when it comes to AI investment, especially compared to the U.S.
Yeah, the U.S. is really putting the pedal to the metal.
They are. So there's this real sense of urgency. The EU knows they need to act fast and strategically if they want to capitalize on this opportunity.
Right, because the window of opportunity might not be open forever.
Exactly.
So it's like they're saying, we've got a real shot here, but we got to move it. And that's where their three pillars for success come in, right?
Absolutely. They lay it out very clearly. Infrastructure and innovation, workforce development, and widespread adoption. And they stress that these are all interconnected. Each one supports the others.
It's like those three-legged stools, right?
Exactly.
You kick one leg out, the whole thing collapses.
Precisely. So let's break them down a bit, shall we? Starting with infrastructure, because it's more than just, having decent internet. We're talking heavy-duty stuff here. Data centers, high-performance computing, the muscle you need to handle massive amounts of data.
Right, and it's interesting because that's where companies like Google come in. They're investing heavily in data centers in the EU.
Right.
And those undersea cables, that's all part of it.
Absolutely. They're putting their money where their mouth is.
Exactly. It's like they're laying the groundwork for AI to flourish in the EU.
And it makes good business sense for them, too, of course.
Oh, absolutely. They're showing commitment, building trust, becoming a key player in this whole evolving landscape.
Precisely.
It's like building the foundation for a digital skyscraper. But you need more than just a foundation, right? You need skilled workers to build the thing, people to occupy it. Which brings us to that second pillar, workforce development.
Right, and this is where things get really interesting. The report, it doesn't shy away from the potential impact of AI on jobs. In fact, they even highlight this study suggesting that generative AI could save workers an average of 70 hours per year.
Oh, hold on, 70 hours. That's like, what, almost 2 extra weeks of vacation?
Right.
Sign me up.
It's a powerful illustration, though, right, of how AI can boost productivity, free up time for more creative, more strategic work. But, and there's always a but.
There's always a catch.
Exactly. Those gains, they require workers who are equipped, workers who are ready to thrive in an AI-powered world. It's not just about robots taking over jobs. It's about the nature of work itself changing.
Yeah, it's like the skills you need to succeed are changing fast.
Exactly. Yeah. Something that's in demand today could be obsolete tomorrow. That's why the EU is putting such a huge emphasis on this upskilling, reskilling their workforce.
Right, and they're putting their money where their mouth is on this one, too. The agenda mentions Google's AI Opportunity Initiative. It's like a $25 million commitment to training programs.
Yeah, and it's not just about teaching people to code, although obviously digital skills are super important.
Right.
But it's broader than that. It's about adaptability, problem solving, critical thinking, those kind of core skills that are going to be valuable no matter what field you're in.
Preparing people for jobs that might not even exist yet.
Exactly.
It's lifelong learning, right?
Yeah.
Or you got to constantly be adapting.
Well, precisely. Which brings us, I guess, to that third pillar, widespread adoption. Because I mean, it doesn't matter how much potential AI has if if individuals aren't actually using it.
Right. It's like having a state-of-the-art kitchen, but you only use it to boil water.
Right. Exactly. And the report, they do acknowledge this. There's a big gap in adoption rates between those bigger companies
Yeah.
and the smaller or medium-sized enterprises, the SMEs.
SMEs, yeah. Which makes sense to a degree, right? Like bigger companies have more resources, they've got the expertise often to invest in these new technologies.
Sure.
But what about those smaller businesses? Maybe they don't even know where to start.
That's a key challenge, yeah. The EU, they really want to democratize AI, make it accessible to everyone, not just these big tech giants. And they see a particular opportunity in sectors that aren't traditionally seen as high tech, like, for example, agriculture.
AI and agriculture, that's an interesting combo. I haven't heard that one too often.
Might sound a little strange at first,
Yeah.
but think about it. AI optimizing irrigation systems, to conserve water, analyzing crop data to improve yields, maybe even automating tasks like the planting or the harvesting.
Wow, so it's really about making these industries more efficient, more sustainable.
Exactly. More competitive.
Right. And it's not just agriculture, right? The report highlights all sorts of sectors where AI can be a game changer. Healthcare, transportation, manufacturing, you name it.
Yeah, it's really quite remarkable. Like AI is this secret sauce that can be sprinkled on almost anything
Right.
to unlock these new levels of efficiency of innovation.
Unlock the potential.
Exactly. But the key is making sure everyone has access to that secret sauce,
Yeah.
right? Not just a select few.
Democratizing the sauce.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
And that's where, governments have a big role to play. The EU, they see governments as being crucial, both as a consumer of AI technologies
Okay.
and as a catalyst for that broader innovation. So governments leading by example.
Yeah, so it's like if governments are willing to invest in this technology, then it must be the real deal.
Exactly. It gives that confidence to businesses, to individuals to get on board as well.
It's like governments can be that tide that lifts all boats, right? But one thing I keep noticing in this agenda, they keep coming back to this idea of trustworthy AI. And it feels like more than just a buzzword, Like, what's the EU's actual take on that?
Yeah, it's definitely not just a buzzword. They're really trying to define what that means in practice. And they're not shying away from the potential downsides either. Like AI can be misused. It can have unintended consequences. They acknowledge that.
Yeah, because it's a powerful tool, right? Like it's got this potential to solve some of our biggest problems, but you also kind of wonder if we're like opening Pandora's box here.
Right. And that's why the EU is building in these guardrails from the get-go. They're creating regulations like the AI Act to make sure that AI is developed and used responsibly.
Okay, so tell me more about this AI Act. What's the main idea behind it?
Well, basically, it's about setting ground rules for AI systems based on their potential impact. So higher risk applications, think like healthcare or law enforcement, those face stricter requirements. Things like transparency, data quality, human oversight, that kind of thing.
So it's like a sliding scale, depending on what's at stake.
Exactly. They're not trying to stifle innovation, but they're also not pretending that AI is risk-free. It's about finding that balance.
Right, making sure we don't get ahead of ourselves.
Exactly. And what I find really interesting is this vision for AI. It goes beyond the EU's own borders. They're trying to set a global standard for ethical AI development.
So they're not just creating a blueprint for themselves, they want the whole world to follow suit.
In a way, yeah. Because think about it. If companies want to do business in the EU, which is a huge market, they have to comply with these regulations. So that creates an incentive to adopt those standards globally.
So it's like a ripple effect, starting from the EU.
Precisely. And I think that's what's been so eye-opening about this whole deep dive, really. It reminds us that we're not just passive bystanders in this technological revolution. The choices we make today as a society, those are going to have a huge impact down the line.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a lot to think about.
It is. But knowledge is power,
Yeah.
right? Especially in a world that's changing this fast.
Couldn't agree more. Well, on that note, I think we've done a pretty good job unpacking the EU's AI ambitions, wouldn't you say?
I think so.
And for those who want to go even deeper, we'll be sure to link to the full EU AI Opportunity Agenda and the AI Act in the show notes. It's worth a read.
Absolutely. Essential reading, even if you're not, a policy expert or anything.
Exactly. And until next time, stay curious, friends.
Keep learning.
That's a wrap.